everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode number 327. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Book Insight Friday, and we're going a little bit in a different direction. So I'm going to be doing book readings this year with a few of my books. I'm not going to read you the whole book, so just going to kind of get that out of the way real quick. Today we're delving into The World in Ruins, A Travel into the Future. It's a book that I wrote a few years ago, and sadly, a lot of the stuff that I wrote is already happening in the world right now. And if you guys know, there's a lot of tornadoes, earthquakes, and all kinds of bad, catastrophic Mother Nature events that are going on, along with all the things that are going on in Palestine and Israel and all that good stuff. And the book was not to scare anyone, but it was to really say that the future may not be guaranteed. So I'm not going to delve into how I wrote the book, my books, and all that other stuff. Those are on previous podcasts. So if you want to know how I wrote the book, why, what went into it, all that good stuff, The World in Ruins podcast episode number 84. Podcast episode number 84. That was part of my standalone book series that I was doing for quite a few weeks. So you can go back and listen to that and get a feel for how I wrote the book, why, what went into it, and all of that good stuff. You can go into my website, theaquarianmindpodcast.com, go into standalone books, and you will find the episode there. It's very easy, very quick. So that's a good way to do it. But if you're on Apple, you're on Spotify, you are on specific podcast platforms, and you want to rewind and listen to it, you're going to be doing a lot of scrolling because we're in episode 327 right now. So you will be scrolling for a while. It's why I try to, sell the point of going to my website so you can find certain things very easily and quickly. Now, as far as the storyline goes, I'm going to read the book synopsis very quickly. The World in Ruins is about a young teenager named Derek who is seeing the world and how terrible it is in the current time he's living in. He goes into the future in a dream he has and travels 50 years into the future only to find out the world is in disarray and it is in complete ruin and turmoil. As he's going around the world in this time machine, he soon realizes that the world he currently lives in has to be changed in order to prevent the future from looking the way he's seeing it in his dream. The question is, can a young kid living in a world full of know-it-all adults save the world from looking like an all-out catastrophe? Time will tell, for the future may not be guaranteed. So that is the book synopsis of The World in Ruins. Now, let's delve into the chapters that I wrote for this book. First is the introduction. Then it's recollections of the dream, the time machine, nature is ruined, catastrophic events, viruses and diseases, evil is everywhere, one world dictatorship, microchips, racism at its worst, an all-out war, he won't save us, the robot clones and technology take over, food is a scarcity, humans are going extinct, desensitized minds, can I save the world? What are we doing about the world? So those are all of the chapters and the layout of how that happens. Now, I don't know what chapters I really want to read because I'm going out on a limb and I'm just in the moment right now. So what I'll do is I will just read the first 2 chapters of this book to kind of give you a feel for what this book is about and the direction that it's heading in. I don't want to just read random chapters and, it kind of throws you off. I just want to give you guys an opportunity to, hear what this book is about, and then, leave, a link for, you to find the book easily and quickly. And also just to, give you the heads up, on the aquarianmindpodcast.com, if you're on there and you're, looking for a podcast or whatever the case is, wonderful, great. But you also can click the ebooks, and there's also another link for other. Other is for paperbacks, and ebooks is to literally take you to my page where you can find all of my ebooks in a nutshell. But The World in Ruins will be in the standalone section, which will be all the way at the bottom on books2read.com/Jamel Crothers. So let's get into it. Recollections of the dream. I remember waking up from this nightmare, thankful that I survived something like this in my sleep of this deep sleep of this magnitude. Sometimes people don't wake up from nightmares like mine. The horror scares them and their bodies go into shock. There were so many things that happened and occurred. Meanwhile, I'm thankful to have been able to remember what happened. All that I could recollect from my time while I was asleep. Surprised that I have an impeccable memory of all the events in this dream. Maybe it's because I started writing everything down right away. As soon as I woke up, I began writing all of what I remembered. It was hard to write all that I saw in this dream, which still haunts me. Now I know what's to come of the world if we don't do what's right. The present day is bad enough as it is, to be brutally honest. But the world will be in its darkest days if we don't start making changes. Being more cognizant of what's going on in the world daily, instead of being focused and fixated on all of the unnecessary things. This dream made me realize how terrible we live in today's age, but also that the future isn't guaranteed if we don't realize what's going on around us. So that's the first chapter. Chapter 2 is the time machine. The time machine was in front of me. Somehow I was wondering how it was there. I knew this wasn't reality at all, and I'm in a deep sleep. This was all a dream, and it truly feels like reality. I heard this voice talking to me real quietly, wondering who it was and why me. He kept saying, "Derek, step into the time machine." I didn't want to. I was scared of what will happen to me. I surely didn't know what I was getting into. But this was surely about to be a journey that would forever stick with me. Intrigued by this time machine, I wondered where I was going. I stepped inside, and before I knew it, I was on my way to the future. Scared for what was to come, I just braced myself. This dream was surely one that I would never forget. The arrival into the future. It's a totally different world and unrecognizable. As I sit inside of this time machine, zipping decades into the future. The demolition of the planet Earth is happening slowly and progressively. Everything is destroyed, from the land to nature, and people look horrible. Visuals of the world destroyed along with natural resources. Violence is going on and people are dying in large numbers. Governments are corrupt and people are killing each other without thought process. Police officers can't maintain order in their countries as there's too much violence. Rebellion is going on more as people are tired of the life they're living, tired of being brainwashed and treated wrongfully wherever they go. There's a war going on all over the world, and it's scary. Seeing all of this with my own eyes, it's really disturbing. There's blood and gore all over the streets and in homes. Kids are losing their lives to gunshot wounds and diseases. Starvation and homelessness are at its all-time high. Catastrophic events are happening and being done intentionally. Earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, bombings, and killings. You name it, it's going on somewhere in the world, and it's beyond control. I'm watching death occur in so many different ways right now. I'm a range of emotions and feelings that I can't even explain. My stomach is churning, twisting, and turning in different directions. My gut is in disarray, and it's one of the worst, uneasy feelings I've ever experienced. All of these years, we as people turned a blind eye to what's going on, not knowing that us not doing anything made the world a horrific place to live in the future. There's no more printed money. How are people living? Greed and gluttony are becoming prevalent in the future. No one loves each other, and everyone is abusing each other. There isn't enough medicine to cure people of diseases. No matter what part of the world I went to, it was in ruins. I was spending brief moments in certain places through the time machine. The air was polluted, and there was smog everywhere with people wearing masks, weak souls walking through what's left of the remaining earth we have. As I'm experiencing my travels in the future, I was speechless. There are certain topics that need to be discussed throughout this journey. I can't do anything about this, but seeing this saddens me. Time for this journey through the major cities of the world. So that is the first 2 chapters of The World in Ruins. And this will be in audio format at some point this year. I can't tell you when, I can't promise you when, but I will tell you that at some point, the audio version of this will be available. This is definitely one book that I definitely will be working on and recording this year. I am currently in the process of recording The Man Who Lost His Soul. I have a few chapters left of that. So when that's done, I'll let you guys know. So if you are audio people, wonderful, great, mazel tov. I do have 7 books that are in audio format. A Woman's Worth Part 1, A Woman's Worth Part 2, which are on Apple. And then on my PayHip, I have The Struggles and Growth of a Man Part 1, Code Blue 1, Code Blue 2, Code Blue 3, and I Woke Up a Black Man. So that wraps up Book Insight Friday. This will be a continuing thing weekly. Next week will be a different book. I'm not going to tell you which one yet, but I may kind of drop a hint at some point in 2 weeks when I come back with podcasts. Heads up, every 2 weeks there will be podcasts. It won't be a weekly thing. So working on a lot of different projects this year, focusing on a lot of different things. So I apologize if you are used to the every week thing, but just a heads up, every 2 weeks there will be podcasts. All right. That's it. Have a good weekend. Be good and go accomplish your goals.